Well. Finally, I am back after 2 weeks being gone. Feels like an eternity, but it's only been 2 weeks. So hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving. The wife and I took a little trip down south to the Dominican for a week over Thanksgiving, and I co- coming back to the cold. I'll tell you, being up here in the old frozen tundra is it's a little difficult, I'll tell you that. So I think I'm gonna get used to it again, but I'll tell you, you get pretty used to that almost 100 degrees. But and I guess I would say I've always been a big fan of the heat. So it's just one of those things. I tolerate the heat way better than I do the cold. So, but anyway, I don't want to dwell on all that. So tonight should be fun. I appreciate everybody join in tonight. I'll say this: if you have someone or somebody can give you a blind, I think I know there's a few guys and everybody out there doing kind of like what would I pay for these and all of that. But I think it's kind of an interesting perspective because when you do that blind, and again, I should say this first. My wife has poured these. I basically gave her any, I guess, whatever it is that's open, and really something that wasn't. I'll say like an M&J pick. I don't know if that's in here or not. I have no idea. The key's over here, but we'll see ultimately what happens with that. But I wanted her to kind of pour me three different things. Then I could figure out, obviously, try to figure out obviously what it is, what I'd pay, maybe what I should pay, and then ultimately what I did pay. So that will be kind of fun when you're doing these things. As a lot of it gets, that's the difficult part of this. So I think just tasting these things blind on their own will be difficult in itself. So I'm kind of looking forward to I'm kind of looking forward to what it is that she poured in the glasses and all of that. So, but anyway, let me say hi to a few people that were in here right away. So, Sugar Kitty, of course, good to see you. TK, good to see you, buddy. Mr. Doug Hoff, good to see you, Dougie. Mr. Douglas Papa, good to see you, Doug. Mr. Reese, good to see you, buddy. I appreciate you joining. The myth, the legend, right there, Mr. Marty, Whiskey Nose, good to see you, brother. Ben Drammond, good to see you, Benny. There's my brother Kelsey. Good to see you, buddy. Hopefully you had a great Thanksgiving, and that applies to everybody. Hopefully everybody had a nice time off. So, what's we got here? Kitty's still there. Mr. Henson, buddy, how you doing? Hopefully things are staying warm for you down there in the good old state of Florida. So good to see you. Thanks for jumping in tonight. What else we got here? Mr. Richie Z, good to see you, bud. I'm not sure what to make of California. Every time I see California on the news, it's either sliding away, on fire, there's an earthquake, something. There's always something going on in California. I don't know how everybody lives in California. I know there's some beautiful areas, and I'm sure obviously it's a lot of people's home, but every time I see that poor state, there's always something going on in California. So, Mr. Gunderson, good to see you, buddy. Oh, what else we got here? I'll try to catch back up. Yeah, and I would say if any of you are able and you want to kind of, I guess, do the kind of blind that I'm doing tonight, pour three things or have someone pour three things for you and kind of go through the same process. It's a lot of fun. I'm kind of looking forward to doing this. Blinds themselves are fun, but trying to establish kind of what you'd pay and what should I pay that, and then ultimately what I did pay. That's always the fun part. So, Callie Drams, good to see you. Appreciate that. Sorry, I don't mean to insult the state of California by any means, but Timmy, good to see you, buddy. Tim Cornay. What else we got here? A lot of good people. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody for jumping in tonight. So let's first start off with the old controversial LLME. I'll say this: have any of you gotten a chance to try the LLME? I'll say this: I know some people had asked me about the LLME slash 1720. Maybe the other one is either 22 or 23. I think something like that. But has anyone been able to, I guess, try that next to either just a regular or standard one. I'll be interested to kind of hear your thoughts on those. You know, I did the video a couple weeks ago or whatever, and I had it next to just a standard bottle of the Russell's 10. And I'll tell you what, you're not going to get blown away, obviously, with the proof being 90, but it was really for me more beyond that. It was more like the the richness of it. There were just heavier notes that were kind of applying. Again, you weren't getting blown away by any proof, but you had, I think a lot of us are familiar with, even if you take older whiskey and proof it down, you're still left with some of those more richer kind of complex notes than if it was younger and watered down. So hopefully you kind of follow my analogy there, but that's what I felt like with the LLME. Again, I know there were people with the video that were, said they had confirmed that there was no 15 or maybe there was 13. I'm not exactly sure whether or not there was 15-year-old bourbon or not in there, but it sure does feel like there was older stock. Again, whether it was 15, 13, 12, whatever, I don't know what it was, but it definitely was different. Even when I did the comparison on the screen of this versus just the standard, I mean, you could really tell the difference, not only from the appearance, but obviously the texture. Well, maybe not as much the texture, but definitely the flavor profile. It was much more amped up. There were those heavier, just richer, more kind of complex notes. So I was just curious as to what some of your thoughts were on if you got a little bit of that kind of difference as well. So yeah, Travis. All right, so 16, 19, 20 versus standard, more cherry, richer oak on the 16, 19, 20. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what you kind of summed it up. Long story short, was exactly that. There was much more of a pronounced fruit, specifically cherry, and then more of that oak, more richness, more depth to it. And that's what I got, and then people were kind of, I know they were really kind of going after these things. My buddy Rich Cannon, or Boomer, as some people know him, got me a couple of these. And, thanks to him, I had a chance to try it. And again, I'll say this, at $40, give or take a couple bucks one way or the other, I think those, if you could find them, make that a really nice daily or everyday, sipping bourbon. It's not going to, again, blow you away proof wise. But again, from my perspective, I like having just that kind of easy sipping bourbon throughout the week, where I'm not necessarily trying to get blown away by, all the proofs and things. Those are great. And I enjoy them as much as each of you, but there's times where I just want a nice, easy pour. I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to get destroyed by proof, and something that still is lower proof, but has a lot of flavor is ideal for me, especially during the week. So anyway, I was just kind of curious to hear what some of you guys thought on that. So, all right, good. I love the LLME. All right, you got the 17. I have a 17 and a 20. This one is the 20, I believe. Yeah, this is the 20. This is the one I did the review of. The other one was a 17. I had 220. I got another one the other day. I found a 20. So now I have two 20s and one 17. So I actually didn't open the 17 yet, but I probably should. So I prefer this over the Eagle Rare, and it's cheaper. Yeah, I mean, if you can find them, and again, even if you don't find these, I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, the Russell's 10 is just a nice everyday kind of bourbon. I mean, it's just we know exactly what it's gonna offer, and it's something that I appreciate that flavor profile quite a bit. So I was just curious to hear kind of your thoughts on any of those. So I know some people were having a hard time finding them. I was looking the other day and saw like an LL and then like LH or something. So I don't know how quickly these numbers change or what those stocks are, but I would imagine with stuff like this, there's there's probably a big change, quite a bit with these. So, and just checking different stores, I saw lots of LL and then different, letters after that. So, what do we got here? Paulie P, good to see you, Paul. Good to see you, brother. I appreciate you jumping in tonight. So, yeah, it is rich and fantastic. So it's Richie and fantastic. Oh, you see what I did there? See, that's what happens when I take 2 weeks off. I start coming up with cheesy shit like that. So thanks, Eric. I appreciate that, bud. Thank you very much. Glad to have you as a new member. Let's see. Mr. Warman, good to see you. I know your golf days, unless you head south or west, are over in our neck of the woods, unfortunately. But I was bummed a little bit too. So JG coming in late here, the ball buster himself. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, I would say this also. If you guys have or can have someone blind 3 different things for you, and just do them along. And if you are going to do it, let me know in the comments how kind of, how the results are for you, but we'll kind of dive into things here in a second. I'll do this, and it's going to be so that you guys can see. I'm just going to leave them in order 1, 2, and 3. I'm just going to taste them in those order. I'm not going to mess around with anything. There's no point in me moving things around. I don't know what any of this stuff is at all. So, and again, the rules were, as long as it was open, I told her, try not to use an M&J pick, just because that's a little bit more skewed. Those are all single barrels. Now, there could be a single barrel that's just a shelfer or something along those lines that's in here, but I told her not to use that. Now, whether she listens, that's another story. So we'll see. Nice. There you go. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I'm interested to kind of dive into this and see what's going on. But let's first have a little cheers to you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good to see you guys again. Yeah, I'll tell you, there's those kind of rich, like cherry and oak notes. It has those very pronounced notes for this one. That's one thing I really enjoyed about it. It did make the other non-LLME taste a little bit, I don't want to say youthful, because it's not that. It was just not quite as well developed. So that was kind of my interpretation of that when I did the review. So Foolproof Hunter, I like that. Cheers, buddy. Appreciate you joining tonight. Yeah, that's a lot of Kitty. It's a lot of what I have. I mean, I've got to get better. That is one thing I'm going to strive for in 2025, is trying to be, I don't want to say selective, but I want to get more things just than that. I mean, 24 was a big year for, again, a lot of our picks, and you just fall into this trap of we do so many of those. And obviously we love the whiskey a lot, that you find yourself not wanting or needing to go buy all these other things. You really kind of need it more for review purposes than anything. Not that I won't drink it or share it or anything like that, but I'm going to try focusing a little bit more on that in 25, and just trying to find the ones that people are really truly interested in. I'll say this, like when it comes to doing reviews of like BTAC and all that kind of stuff, for me, I don't know. I just don't, I don't see as much value in that. Yeah, there's people who get it, but there are so many people, the vast majority of people don't get it. I know people still want to hear and listen to whoever it is that may be doing the review, and obviously to each their own. I just, from my standpoint, I don't know. I guess first I have to find one, but I don't know. I just, for me, I struggle with that, because it feels a little, I don't know. I struggle with those kinds of things that almost nobody can get. It's kind of a fine line of do you kind of do a review of that even though you have it, just to, get views on a video? I don't know. I feel weird about that kind of stuff. So I don't know. You let me know. I mean, if I got those things, does anybody really care about, the thoughts on a BTAC or something like that? I mean, I know like the Russell's 15, things like that. There's enough people that still get those, but some of the ones, like a King of Kentucky or something. Like, what's the point of doing a review of something like that? I don't know. But what's up, Tom, the Bourbon Jerk? Hey, if anybody hasn't subscribed to Tom and the Bourbon Jerk, who is one person there, do yourself a favor. I think you'll really appreciate his videos. So Robbie D, good to see you, bud. What else we got? Mr. Wimbush, good to see you, bud. It feels a little Fred. Yeah, I mean, and I've never met Fred. I've never met him in person. I just, for me, the value is not as much. I don't enjoy doing those kinds of things. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people enjoy that. I just don't. You know, it's just not for me. But some people love that stuff, and even though they're not going to get it, they care about that stuff. All right, Rob, what do you got? I care about the LE reviews. Reason I passed on 2020 Georgie's tag and grabbed the Thomas H. Handy. Okay. And that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of people who do that, and there are going to be people who still do those handful of reviews. And there's a lot of guys out there that do them and have great palates. So, you know, to each their own, no issue with that whatsoever. But for me, it's just something I kind of stay away from. So, hey, bud, good to see you. It's been a little while. Biking Bourbon, good to see you, brother. Appreciate you jumping in tonight. We love our picks too. We love our picks too. So we have a good time with all of those, doing those especially. So, what's up, brother? Good to see you, bud. Yeah, well, I'll stay away from that one. So. Yeah, I mean, it's just those things. I think it just becomes a little bit more common easily. There's more people who are gonna, you know, have an opportunity to not only watch them but be able to kind of then relate. That's my take on that. So there you go. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. We try. So we've got some good things coming in 25. We just kind of chatted the other day about trying to do some different things, and I think a lot of you guys that are part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, you'll see. So happy holidays to you. So ho ho ho. Man, I'll tell you what. Sometimes I've sent text messages, I've sent emails. I don't know if anybody at Lucky 7 is watching or sees this, and you're up for doing a pick with the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club. I'll tell you, we're all for it. So I'll leave it at that. It's kind of fallen on deaf ears, unfortunately, Rob, and it's gone nowhere. Not for the lack of trying. It just, we've not gotten really a lot of response. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into this blind. What's up, Gandy? Good to see you. Yes, I appreciate that. Hit that like button. Does a lot of good for the channel, all that stuff, for the old algorithm, gets things pumping out to everybody. So YouTube is a funny monster. That's for sure. So Travis, all right, let's see okay. Just trying to crack in. Love it. Says the guy, shelves full of OC 4K. Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot of that stuff is older stuff. Admittedly, I've got those, and there's not a lot of review. I mean, I've got some reviews of some of those things, but not all of it. And yeah, there are times where I do some reviews. I enjoy a lot of those whiskeys. It's not that I don't enjoy them. I just, well, you guys know, you see the videos and stuff. Been a little while since I've done those. The Foregate stuff mostly. Haven't done anything really with Old Carter or anything like that in a while, and who knows what's happening with that brand. So, all right, I won't waste any more time. I just wanted to, cool, everybody, give them a look. Foolproof Hunter, I started my channel 4 months ago. Been a blast so far. It's a lot of fun, and as you'll see and probably know already, it's a lot of work. So yeah, for you guys that are in here, give Foolproof Hunter a look, subscribe to the channel, and check things out. I'll check stuff out later and see how things are with the channel. So, all right, let's do this. So let me have one more sip, get the old palate fired up, and we'll dive into where's my note thing. All right, let's do this. I'll take some notes here. Mm. All right, let's fire up the we got the palette fired up, little Russell's LLME. So 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna do it for you guys so you can follow left to right. So I know with guys like Paul P in here, I gotta keep this thing tight so you guys can follow left to right. So I'm just busting Paul's balls. So he knows that. There you go. Sub away. Everybody sub away. So okay, let's do this. Little sip of water. One other quick little rant. It's a baseball rant. And my buddy Jason and his Mets just signed Juan Soto for 15 years, $765 million, $765 million. And I told him today, just a little while ago, I'm like, I don't want to hear from him anymore about the Yankees, this and that, and all this other blah, blah, blah. When your team spends $765 million on one dude, you're basically the Yankees. You're basically the Dodgers. I don't know, whoever else you want to be. The other big players, probably at this point, a lot of the other ones. I mean, now the Mets. I mean, they may as well just have MLB just be like a league of 6 teams and add the Giants and the Dodgers, the Mets, Yankees, Braves, maybe Astros. I don't know. I mean, how do you compete with all that? The Dodgers are probably and I'll get into this here in a second, but the Dodgers, I mean, those guys just do whatever I know that's a lot like the Yankees and now clearly the Mets. When you got these multi-billion dollar owners, you know, eventually you're going to get enough talent that even if you're not that good, you got so much talent on a team like that you've paid for that you're bound to just be good just by default. You know, I know it doesn't necessarily translate, but just look at the playoffs. It's generally how it goes. So anyway, all right, enough ranting on that note. Let's get into some whiskey and we'll get into this stuff right now. So, all right. So number 1, as you guys can see, I don't know, maybe you can see put numbers on the bottom. I don't know why necessarily, but it is what it is. So yeah, Tigers used to spend like that too, but not as much. They will be. And I think now that they've gotten a little bit better. So $750 million. That is crazy. I think he's got an opt-out in there too. They always do. So they can just make more money at some point. All right. It's interesting. Getting a little kind of cherry cola note on this. Color-wise, I don't know, not super dark as you guys can see. I'm gonna say more kind of average. A lot of them look kind of close. This one may be a little bit darker, but I don't know. We'll see what she poured. This will be interesting. Kind of some cherry tobacco notes. That's interesting. Nice oak on it, I'll say this. You are getting some of those kind of cherry notes, and what I like to do, especially with blinds, is kind of nose it for a second, taste it, and then kind of go back. Things kind of start to settle in a little bit, and oftentimes I do that even when I'm doing tasting notes because I think you get a nice pull from each one of them. So just trying to necessarily nose something, get all the notes off that without tasting it first. I don't know. I don't know if it's cheating or whatever, but I like to kind of get all the senses fired up. So let's see what this one tastes like and maybe what it is. Man, it does not taste like it's very high proof at all. Soft, good texture, velvety. Not like it doesn't feel like an overly long finish. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Nice. Yeah, let me know. I'll be interested. If you're going to do a video, I'll check it out, see what your thoughts are on that as well. Yeah, they're nice. Yeah, this is kind of tripping me up here a little bit. I was expecting there to be more proof, but I don't know. I mean, maybe she's just giving me a bunch of like low proof shelf stuff. I have no idea. I mean, so far I wouldn't say it's a really nice, I mean, I think it falls like into this kind of category. God, I hope I didn't pay like a ton of money for that thing. But it feels very kind of like even almost Russell's light, to be honest. It feels lower proof, not an overly long finish, kind of nice cherry notes. I mean, I mean, I don't even know. It might be this, for crying out loud. I don't even know. I didn't see her pour any of this stuff. So it's got those cherry, nice oak, not a super long finish. It's kind of a nice, like little velvety kind of texture that it has to it. It does feel like one of those whiskeys that you could just sip on for a while. It makes you also want to kind of continue to go back to it because the finish isn't overly long, but it's you know what? I don't even know if Tim, I don't even know if I have a bottle of Eagle Rare open or not. There might be one downstairs, like under the shelf, under something or behind something that she found, but I don't know. I don't know, like maybe a Buffalo Trace or something. You do get a little bit of that kind of slight, I don't know, maybe green apple. Yeah, hashtag floor whiskey. There are some of those, that's for sure. I don't know. I mean, it kind of just comes across as a nice little easy sipping kind of, I don't know, 90 proofer or something. Not exactly. I'm just gonna write down. All right, so I'll say number one. I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna say 90. I'm gonna say 90 proof. I'm gonna guess Buffalo Trace. And what would I pay for that? Like, all right, let's talk 750 milliliter bottles. I don't know. I'm gonna say for that whiskey, number one, I'm not gonna pay any more than, I'll say, I don't know, $25. I'll say $25. What should I pay? I don't know. I'm gonna say probably $25, and that's probably, and then obviously, what did I pay? I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't think it's seven. I don't know if it's a 1792 full. Oh yeah, I read your name. I don't know if it's a 1792, like a small batch. It could be. It just drinks a lot, like just an easy sipping, like just standard-ish bourbon. God, I hope it's not. I hope it's not. I hope it's. I didn't pay a lot of money for that. So I don't know. I think it's like a Buffalo Trace. That's what it feels like. Could be good times. I have that as well down there. So who knows? There's a lot of stuff downstairs. So as well. But anyway, I think number one, I don't know, easy 20 feels like a $25 bourbon. Nothing that's going to blow you away. Easy sipping. Again, some of those kind of fruit notes, nice oak, not an overly long finish. So we'll stick with $25. And I don't know if it's a Green River Weeder. It doesn't feel necessarily like that. I don't think it is, but I don't know. I have no idea. So I'm just gonna stick with Buffalo Trace. Feels kind of in that sweet range like that. So all right, let's move on to number two and see what else she's gonna confuse me with. Is anybody else out there doing any of these blinds while I do this? If so, let me know your thoughts, kind of how things are going for you as well. These are always fun. I mean, I think any blinds, of course, but when you start to factor in not knowing what it is and how much you would pay for that. Yeah, like number one, I wouldn't want to pay more than $25 for a 750 of that. And again, there's not that much going on. So if I had that like one time, that's not something I'm going to seek out like very often. Like that just feels like a very, I hope I didn't pay a lot of money for that, whatever that is. It just feels very standard or ordinary. So, all right, let's see what number two is. Hopefully she's going to ramp these things up a little bit. So she kind of knows how these things go. So I'm hoping maybe she's just kind of setting me up a little bit. All right, so we're starting to get into a little heavier oak notes on this. Wow, really, really nice like baking spice on this one. Definitely more oak. This is a really more oak driven nose so far. But let's get a little sip of it. It feels like it's going to be like kind of oak dominant, but we'll see here in a second. All right, that's got like it's got a little kind of nuttiness to it. So it's kind of coming across as a little bit of like a Jim Beam kind of profile. Not overly, I wouldn't say it's like overly like peanut shell. There's sweetness. That's oak that's there. I'm gonna say like even with that one, like it doesn't feel like it's super heavy on proof. Like maybe 100. The finish is definitely better than number one. You do get some of those kind of fruit notes, but there's a little bit of that kind of nuttiness or peanut butter, which kind of starts to give you a little bit of that like kind of Russell's vibe a little bit. You know, I keep saying kind of Jim Beam, but yeah, this one doesn't feel again very high proof. Yeah, she's not gonna kill me with proof tonight, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll be surprised if this thing is much more than 100, if that. But yeah, you'd think she'd like hit me with some more stuff than what this is. And I wouldn't say like walnut necessarily, but it could be. I mean, if I was going to define walnut, I'd maybe describe that as a little bit more of a bitterness. Walnuts can have that kind of bitter, nutty kind of taste. I don't always get that. I don't always get that from the Beam stuff, but yeah, walnut, if I do get it, it often follows up with a little bit of a bitterness that's there. I'm not getting this at all. No, it's not the Old Forester 1910. It's definitely not like rich enough. That thing it's really, the Old Forester 1910, lots of kind of, coffee, chocolate, the heavy fruit notes, things like that. But I don't know. So I know someone said the Jim Beam 7, I don't mean it could be something like that as well. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was a Jim Beam 7. And I think that's what 90 or 100 proof, one of the two. Nice spice right there in the front. Again, a little bit of that nuttiness. Nice kind of very just tried and true, like, the vanillas, the caramels. Like if you're just going to kind of define a bourbon, this kind of falls like right into that category. I don't know. And that's probably a good call out. I would say that's probably a safe bet. Yeah, she's definitely not hitting me with anything feeling like it's expensive. I hope I haven't paid like a lot of money for these, because they feel very, very just standard kind of, bourbons. But again, this is also the fun part of it because not too often am I just reaching for those. I don't know how much of these kinds of bourbons we all reach for. Now, again, like I said before, during the week, things like this are nice because it's just easy. You don't have to think about it. You just sip on it and it gives you a little kind of, what you want. I'm not trying to get blown away. These two so far have kind of fallen, into that category. But let me just kind of get a nose on both. Yeah, definitely number two is way more like ramped up on the nose. Even the profile, like one feels like very, very flat. Yeah, that's very flat, very sweet. Again, a little bit of that kind of green apple, kind of caramel note a little bit. Yeah, this definitely has more of an oak presence, more nuttiness, more of that kind of, you know, peanut or peanut butter, something like that. Nice oak, good spice. Not gonna say like when you start getting into like heavy like leathers and tobaccos, things like that. I mean, you might have some like muted notes of that, but nothing's gonna just explode without having that kind of proof and it being uncut. Neither one of these feel like they're any kind of like barrel proof whiskeys. Nice sipping bourbons. I like number two more than I do number one, especially if we're just talking about every day. And again, I'm assuming these things are what they are. In my mind, this is like what I'm kind of convincing myself of. I don't know what these things are at all, but this feels kind of Buffalo Tracy. This kind of feels a little Jim Beamish, kind of. Um, I don't know if it's Devil's Cut or the Distiller's Cut. I don't know. If I was gonna guess, like I've got the Jim Beam 7, which I enjoy. Like I think that's a great everyday kind of bourbon and one that I'll say everybody should have. I think it's a great, for the price, $30 or whatever it is. So I think we've kind of jumped up here again a little bit in maybe proof, but I think we've definitely elevated ourselves in flavor profile. We've gone much more muted to now kind of jumping up a little bit. So, all right, bottle number two. What would I pay for a bottle of that? I'm gonna say in the same range, maybe $5 more, maybe $30 I would pay for number two. Like, what should I pay? I don't know. I mean, these kind of feel you know, like probably right in that category. I'll say $30. Like I wouldn't want to pay more than 30 for that. And again, I'll say 30. And again, depending on what it is, 30, 35. I don't know. I don't think it's a Knob Creek 9. I think the Knob Creek 9 has just way more going on with it. Like it just has a much bolder, richer like profile. I don't think it's a Knob Creek 9, and I'm sure I've got some of those downstairs somewhere as well, but this doesn't feel, I'm going to say, even as like rich or complex. And I'm even struggling with like the proof on that thing. Like I don't know if it's 100. I don't know if it feels more proofy or just spicy coming off of one, because that thing feels like it's drinking like a 90 proofer. So I'm not exactly sure. Um Man, I want to be, man, I don't think that's Russell's. Jeez, man, I'm like second guessing myself because sometimes with these Russells, All right, that's not that. That's much spicier. That LLME is much spicier. I wasn't getting that on either one of these. I'm just gonna stick with Beam. I think that might be the Beam 7-year. I don't know. Yeah, this thing is spicy. That's a spicy little meatball right there. It's a nice little bourbon. So good fruit notes. Man, I really dig that. All right, let's see what number. Get into number 3 and see what that is. So. How'd everybody have a nice Thanksgiving? Hopefully everybody had a nice little downtime, got to spend some time with family and friends and all of that. Christmas is obviously right around the corner, Hanukkah, all that good stuff. So a lot of good things going on. So I know with us here in the States, we got Thanksgiving and Christmas within a short period of time. So a lot of stuff happening when you get to the end of November and kind of the beginning of the new year. A lot of stuff going on. So hopefully everybody has a great holiday season. Next week, I don't think I have it up here, but next week I'm going to have the guys. If you guys are familiar with Watch Hill proper, I'll say in Louisville, in Kentucky, they have this great bar/restaurant. Well, they've done some of their own like single barrels. They have a 20-year bourbon that they've released. It's a bit pricey, but it's a 20-year bourbon. I don't know where they're sourcing from, but I'm going to have the guys on next week from Watch Hill proper. I'll say this. If you haven't been there, I mean, their selection is great. They have lots of kind of deals all the time with that. Their food is excellent. It's a great place. The location is really nice. So if you haven't been to Watch Hill proper, I would say if you're ever in the kind of Louisville area, do yourself a favor. And if anybody, in here is familiar with that, then give them a try. And I'm interested to find out just kind of more about obviously creating a business like that. They've been in business now for a few years, but creating all of that from the ground up to, bar, restaurant, having your own whiskeys, things like that, that's a lot. So I know just from doing stuff with the club, how much that can be, but the complexity of all of that stuff together, it'll be pretty interesting. So hopefully you guys will tune in next week when I have the guys, the owners and founders of Watch Hill proper. And then we'll be going through again, some of their whiskey. They have a 20-year-old bourbon, and I'll probably be doing a giveaway next week. They sent me like little 2 or 3 ounce kind of bottles of it. So I think, again, I thought about doing a review, but I don't know what the point of doing that will be, but I'll probably do a giveaway of that. Let somebody else have a shot at trying one of their bottles of their 20-year-old bourbon uncut. So, it's been a while, I'll say, for me, that I've had a 20-year-old bourbon. Some of the 15-year-olds have kind of popped up with kind of like this bad boy here from Sealbox, which was a big favorite of mine. So yeah, not a lot of 20-year-old uncut bourbons that are out there. So hopefully I'll be able to do a little giveaway and let somebody try and have a shot at trying that as well. So do you want the survey returned? I don't know what you mean. When do you want the survey? Oh, the one from Patreon? It doesn't matter. Just go ahead and fill all that stuff out. We'll get some of the details. It's really there kind of as a forum to let everybody kind of give us the feedback and what you guys want, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you want to fill it out, we'll make sure and do that, and probably talk to Jason over the weekend or next week sometime and see about just getting some more feedback from you guys as part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, and what you want, what you don't want, the goods, bads, all that good stuff. That's what we're trying to figure out, just so we can kind of tighten up 2025 a little bit and make sure we're doing and getting the things that you guys want. So love me some Sagamore. That would be one I would love to do again in 2025. So Sagamore for the win. All right, so you did. You're doing a blind as well. So all right, Sagamore for the win. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I missed something along the way. Yeah, holidays definitely stacked up for us. So what else we got? All right, let's go on to number three. Definitely Sagamore is the three amigos. There are the three amigos, the three Sagamigos. Love that one. Yeah, well, I think we'll try to. We haven't even talked about it, but yeah, that's definitely one that we used to have BT Brian Tracy, who was one of the head guys over there, who was and is a great guy, and he was kind of our contact there, so we could always do things, with the brand. But since he's kind of left, that's kind of dried up a little bit. So I don't really know who our point of contact would be at the distillery at Sagamore. I know Dusty and some of those guys that are out there in the Maryland area, may have a little bit more pull. We'll see what we can do, and we'll do our best to get back into Sagamore. So I could have told you that before you did that. So that is something I am not a fan of. It is probably I've not tasted them all, probably in fairness, but I am not a Balcones fan at all. So that's a profile that I struggle mightily with. So yeah, we're gonna give it a shot. That's for sure. So, all right, let's get into number three. This one's slightly darker. So let's see if I can show you guys here a little bit. Man, I don't know what she was doing to me there, but we'll see what this one has to offer. So, man, it's crazy like how similar a lot of this stuff is, and it's probably, I mean, obviously it's probably all completely different, but right, nice, really nice spice. Maybe feels a little bit more proofy just on the nose. Again, very, very tried and true so far. Not a ton standing out. It does feel a little bit more proofy. But I'm gonna also say a little kind of nuttiness on that one too. So let's give this one a try. All right, there's some proof right there. Boy, a lot of proof and a lot of spice. Holy moly. Thing's making my eyes water, for crying out loud. Man, that is a spicy one. I was not getting man, you could kind of pick it up a little bit on the nose, but tasting that thing now, coming off of these two, boy, proof wise, I mean, it feels like it's all of 120. Oh, that might be like an Elijah Craig barrel proof or something. It's got kind of that feel, a little bit of that feel to it. Feels kind of like it could be in that kind of proof range. I just don't know. It doesn't feel as kind of like rich and complex. And again, I know they all vary, but it has a little bit of that feel to it. That's one that we're trying to get into. We're going to try to get into them, get into that distillery this year and see if we can do a pick for the club. So if you have a contact or anybody and you don't mind shooting me an email, let me throw this up. Here's my email, and this applies to anybody. If you guys ever have any questions or want to send me anything, just shoot me an email. Happy to chat or whatever it may be. But mybourbonjourney01@gmail.com is my email. So you guys can shoot me an email, or if you have any questions, whatever it may be. I'm kind of an open book for the most part. So if there's anything I can do to help, I'm always happy. But if you have something or have any a name or anybody I could reach out to there, I would greatly appreciate it. They're definitely on our list this year of I guess I'll say distilleries or whatever you want to call to try to get in there. So I appreciate that. So is Matt like the either the owner or head distiller, or who is Matt? And again, if you don't mind just shooting me an email, you and I can chat a little bit as well and all of that. So, but yeah, they were one that we were looking to kind of get into. Somebody was sending samples to Jason. I've never had anything from them. So like with those kind of places, we have to be a little bit careful because, with the limited amount of people that know or have had it, people can be a little leery of that kind of stuff in terms of us selling bottles, within the club, because people aren't familiar with what that is, the profile, any of that. So it can be a little bit tricky. So sometimes we'd like to try some of those things first just to see if it's something we think people will like. So what's up, Roger? Good to see you, buddy. Cheers, Scott. Drinking a little bit of both of the Ben Holiday. Oh yeah. I just actually, so Roger, speaking of Ben Holiday, I just sent something to Chris, one of our contacts, to see about getting back into Ben Holiday sometime this year. So we'd love to get back in there, and if we can get one or two again, both mash bills, that'd be fantastic. So, all right, one man operation. So that's interesting, and they can be fun to deal with those guys, and they can produce some fantastic whiskeys. That is one of the things I'll say I think our club as a whole really kind of prides ourselves on, is trying to get those different unique things kind of all put together and then into the club. So lots of variation. And I know we hit you guys with a lot of things, and ladies with a lot of things, but that's the idea, is to give some different things for you so that you can really try that stuff. So 0-0. I don't know why I didn't use my my favorite number. Obviously is, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but my I know people have lucky number 13 or unlucky number 13, but it's always been my number, and that goes back to the football days of Dan Marino being number 13. I've had 13 with everything I've always done. So that's always been my jersey number or whatever it may be. So Crittenden. I was like trying to figure out like what they spell it. I wasn't even sure like what it was. So is it Matt Crittenden? I don't know. But if it's Matt, that's kind of cool. We did a 00 pick with him a couple months ago with the Bourbon Club. All right, cool. All right. That's cool. Well, we'll see. We can chat a little bit and just see if they're open to that. So cool. So yeah, it does seem like a brand that's become a little bit more kind of popular in the last, I'll say couple months or something. Yeah, Crittenden something. Okay. All right, let's get back to this and we'll figure out. Man, that thing's got some proof and spice to it. Whatever it is, it's nice. It's almost difficult coming off of these two because it is leaps and bounds. Whew, that is spicy, man. I'll tell you that. Nice. Almost little hints of kind of like chocolate, little citrus there. It doesn't feel like MGP to me. Boy, that one's kind of throwing me for a loop a little bit. I mean, I want to say like an Elijah Craig barrel proof or something, but because the proof is there. The one thing I'm kind of struggling with is the complexity, the richness that you'll get from an Elijah Craig barrel proof. It doesn't quite feel like it's that, but I'm struggling with that with what this what this profile is a little bit. I mean, it's nothing, it doesn't feel anything crazy. I'm just struggling with the fact that with the Elijah Craig barrel proofs, oftentimes the finish feels longer and it feels a little bit more complex. Hey Stacy, good to see you. Thanks for jumping in a little bit. Appreciate it. Hmm, hmm. We'll give it a whirl. I mean, that's one thing. So um we're we're never opposed to also saying no as well. If it's not something we think not only we enjoy and that you guys aren't going to like and ladies aren't going to enjoy, we just pass. It's as simple as that. But we'll see. Man, what in the world is that? I love the spice and I love the proof part of it, but man, I don't even know. Could that be like a driftless Glen or something too? The more I kind of sip on it, man, it's got a lot. It's got that spice like a lot of the hmm. You know what? I may just go out on a limb and say that. I may just say it's a I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's a driftless Glen. I don't know. I have no idea. But all right. So number three. Oh man. What would I pay for a bottle of that? That feels I don't know. I probably wouldn't have an issue. I think with that, the one thing I wish it did have was maybe a slightly longer finish, and maybe that is there, and I'm just like overthinking it. Nah, it's too. It feels way too much for the small batch select. It's not soft enough, and this is way more proofy than the small batch select. It's one that I absolutely love. I love the small batch select, but if this is that, I don't think this is it. This feels like it's 120 plus proof is what it feels like. So yeah, I don't know. I don't man, I am really kind of struggling. I'm gonna say a driftless Glen. I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, where are they? Are they in um like Alabama or something? Where is this Crittenden or whatever the name of it is? Mississippi, maybe? All right, one more sip and let's get this figured out. I'm starting to get some cherry notes too. Man, this is where I think she's like messing with me here. That thing is proofy. It might even be above 130. Man, that is spicy as hell too. Man. Oh, killing Mississippi. Okay. Thanks, Roger. Or Alabama, Mississippi. Everybody's it's Mississippi. No, okay. I don't know. Is it Alabama or Mississippi? I don't know. Last time I checked, those are two different states. Okay, Mississippi. Okay. I don't know. That thing is probably it feels north of 130 proof. It's a spicy meatball as well. Okay. What would I pay? Man, I don't know what the hell number 3 is. That is really throwing me off. What would I pay for a bottle of that? I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 70. I'll say I'll pay 75 bucks. Should I pay 75? Yeah, I'd be good with paying 75. Could you pay more? I could see that maybe being a profile that a lot of people would dig with the proof. Wish it had a little bit more on the finish. It feels a little bit little bit like one-dimensional, kind of one or two-dimensional a little bit. Like there's not a lot beyond that. How much would I pay for that? I'm gonna say I wouldn't pay in today's market. I don't know. I could see that thing having $100 on it. I wouldn't pay more than I'll say what would I pay? What would I pay? I'll say 100 as far as what I would pay. What should I pay? I'm gonna say 75 bucks is probably, and I don't know what I paid because I don't know what it is yet. But all right, let's give this thing a whirl and see what in the earth she gave me tonight. All right. No, they're definitely not King of Kentucky, I guarantee you. I've got one bottle of that. It is open, but there's a 0% chance it's that. So, all right, Paul, what do you got? All right, thanks. I'll take a look at that. Appreciate it. Crittenden Distillery LLC.com. All right, cool. Thanks, Richie. When those first two tastings thin and flat, this third one could be anything. Tough guess, man. It's a tough one. I mean, 3 is standing out way more than the other two. Matzo ball soup. Yeah, I would say matzo ball soup is probably better than 2 of the 3. Maybe not better than all 3, but maybe 2 of the 3. I'll let you decide which 2 that is, but um man, I cannot figure out. All right, I'm not even gonna figure. I'm not even gonna. So we'll figure this out now. So all right, we got the key here. All right, drum roll. I'm not a drummer, but and I'm a bit scared to look at this thing because I've got number 1. Let's go back through these. So I had number 1 as like a 90 proofer. I said Buffalo Trace. Like, what would I pay? 25 bucks. What should I pay? Maybe 25 bucks. Obviously, I haven't revealed that yet, so I don't know what I did pay. Number 2, I had as a maybe the Jim Beam 7-year. I had what would I pay? 30 bucks. Probably what should I pay? 30 bucks. It feels very appropriate for that. Number 3, again, it was really the outlier. This is where it got to be a little bit tough. So, like, what would I pay? I don't know, maybe $100. Like, I'm trying to, like, in my mind, like, even also try to figure out, is this thing worth $100? I don't know. Like, it doesn't necessarily feel like that. Like, what should you pay, or what should I pay for that? I don't know, probably no more than 75 bucks, but I could see it being maybe $100. All right. Any guesses? You guys go ahead and put your guesses as to what you think 1, 2, and 3 may be, just based on my like loose interpretation and my rambling of what these things would be. But I'll be interested to see if any of you guys guess, or if I kind of got any of these things right. I have no idea, and I probably haven't, but it'll be very, very interesting. And I hope to God some of these I haven't paid a ton of money for, because they're not doing a lot. So I'll wait a minute, and then we'll wrap her up until next Tuesday. So, and I have no idea what in the world. All right, while you guys put this stuff in there, I'll do the reveal. So, oh God, am I gonna miss? All right, so glass number 1, I said whatever, 90 proof Buffalo Trace. Number 1 actually was Buffalo Trace. Um, and I probably paid 20 or $25 for it, I'm sure. So, all right, I was kind of close. I was kind of close on number 2 a little bit, but interesting. Okay. I was kind of close. We're in the same distillery a little bit. So, number 2 was the Knob Creek 12 year, which is 100 proof. So I think I said Jim Beam 7. So she's right behind the camera. She can see me right now. I'm going to turn the camera on her. No, I'm just kidding. So I said Jim Beam 7. It had a little bit of that, kind of nuttiness that Jim Beam kind of does. It tasted like around 100 proof. I have 100 proof written down. So I didn't get that it was 12. It did have a nice oak and everything to it, but I did write down, I did say Jim Beam 7, which actually that's probably, is that 90 proof? Do I have one of those up here? I don't know. So anyway, all right. Number 3. All right, number 3. Wow. Okay. All right. So this was kind of interesting because it was good. This was the Booker's 2024. I'm assuming this was probably the what was the newest one that they just released that day? The reserves. Yeah, the reserves. So which was good. I could tell it tasted proofy. I think I said maybe north of 130, but it's 125. She's got 125.9 proof written down. Definitely had more rich kind of components and stuff to it. I think I had like what I would pay 100, what I should pay 75. Like it was good. It was hard because when you're comparing these two to that, I don't know if that affected that a little bit or not, because really when I did the review of the reserves, I really, really enjoyed it. Like I thought overall it was a great bourbon. So that doesn't surprise me really at all. So it was kind of tricky as to what's going on, because that thing's got a lot going on with it. And tasting that off of these two was a little bit kind of tricky. It had, again, I went back to like that Elijah Craig barrel proof kind of profile because of the proof and kind of just what it had going on. It felt very much in line with something like that. But anyway, the Booker, she got Booker's 2024, which is probably going to be the reserves on that. So what did I pay for it? I think, let's see, what would I pay? I think I said $100. What you should pay, I think I said 75. It's probably right in that $100 range as well. I have no problem with that. But I think I paid, I don't know, right around there, like maybe 125, 115, 125, something like that. So I don't think it was that far off of that. So yeah, what I'll say, Rob, was even when I did the review of the reserves, it feels like, and I'm not necessarily a Booker's guy either. And the one thing that I appreciated about the reserves was the fact that it had some older whiskey that blended really well. Oftentimes for me, Booker's just drinks just so hot that you can't just get beyond that. It doesn't have a lot really beyond that. This had, like, it was, I mean, my glass is gone. I really enjoyed it. It was that good. But I think the reserves, if you can still find one, it's worth that $100-ish kind of price tag. I think it has enough going on where it has a lot of those rich kind of components and all of that. So yeah, if you can get this thing in that $100-ish range, I think it's perfectly fine. And it's probably, going back to the video, one of the better on its own bourbons that I had in all of 2024. It was that good. So if you guys maybe agree or disagree, also like let me know your thoughts on the Booker's Reserves. Like I really, really enjoyed it to the point where it may factor into my top bourbons in 2024. It was that good, like standalone. So this, when you've got a couple of other things lower proof on top of something that's big and proofy, can kind of skew things a little bit. So may have done that slightly, but on its own, it's an absolutely beautiful bourbon. So one I really, really enjoyed. So there you have it. These things are always a ton of fun. So I appreciate it. What did I miss before? I don't know if I missed something. I don't know. I was just reading the chat there for a second. All right. Yeah, so a lot of you guys got pretty darn close based on what some of these were, and I think I got most of these pretty close. I said Jim Beam 7, Knob Creek 12 years, which is a big price difference. So I'll have to go back and try the Knob Creek 7 next to the 12 and see. There's maybe more of an oak profile, which this had, and maybe that the Jim Beam 7 probably doesn't have quite that much oak. It just probably tasted way more oaky coming off of just standard Buffalo Trace. That's like the water of bourbon for the most part. So that's probably where that kind of came in, but not far off. Got the at least the distillery right. 3 kind of missed a little bit on that one, sort of. But anyway, had a good time with these. Glad she poured these, and had a good time. So I'm glad everybody kind of tuned in tonight, and hopefully you guys had a good time just kind of following along. Blinds are always fun, especially when you kind of play into, what I would pay, what you should pay, what I did pay. That's all a big factor. I'm kind of glad that none of these I paid a ton of money for. All of these I think were very appropriately priced and kind of got that for the most part. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, next week I'll have the guys on from Watch Hill proper. Looking forward to having them on, talk about the kind of journey of their business, and then ultimately into the them selecting their own whiskey for Watch Hill proper. But looking forward to having the guys on from again Watch Hill proper. But more importantly, thanks guys. Appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight, and ladies, everyone for joining. Greatly appreciate you hanging out with me for a little over an hour tonight. And yeah, so we'll be back next Tuesday, regular time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. And like I say, it's about the journey and not the destination. Thanks guys for hanging out with me tonight. Appreciate it. We'll see you next Tuesday. Cheers, guys and ladies. Have a good night.